Introduction to Adobe InDesign. Today we're going to learn how to input pictures or images within InDesign. Now if you wish to add images in InDesign, there are three ways to do so. You either use the file, open, and then you select the desired images. Second option here is clicking on Ctrl O. In this case again, you're going to ask you to upload those images you wish to have. And third, which is the easiest part here, is going to your images and just drag the image toward your InDesign. Now when I'm selecting my image or I'm adding an image toward my InDesign, there's a multi-way to add images. So let's say for example I would like to add those 5 images or those 6 images from my image folder. So I'm having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So once I'm selecting those images, simply what I need to do is dragging them to my InDesign. Now when I go to my InDesign itself, it wouldn't add the pictures until I'm getting the pictures added by myself manually. So in here you can change between one image to another by using the arrow up and down. So let's say for example I need to apply the first one as a background. So I'm going through the background and I'm clicking and dragging. So never click straight on. If I click it straight on, it gives me the right size of the image. So in this case, I'm not going to click straight on. I'm just going to click and drag. So clicking from the top all the way down and drag down. It doesn't matter if this is smaller than your page or a bigger than page, but just make sure you're applying a background toward your page. Now it tells you here or presenting there are 5 pictures left within your tray. So in this case I can click and drag, place them within the desired place that I wish to. So let's say for example I'm going down here, just drag it right at the bottom. And in this case you can go through different pages to apply your images. So let's say for example I'm going to the second page here, so page number 4, applying one image right in the middle. Going to the next page, you can use your scroll up and down, creating another one over here, which is again crossing the page, and adding the last one over there. So you can move between the different pages or different images the way you wish to have it. Now in this case, if I'm moving up and down, I'll find all the images that have been applied within my InDesign. Now if you desire to go to a specific page, again double click on the page itself, it will take you to the right page within your InDesign. Now to enlarge or minimize the area of your page. Now each of those pages are presented with 2 frames. One are the images and the second are the frames. So let's say for example I'm going to this image here specifically and I'm trying to enlarge it. Once I enlarge it here, you will find the image having the same size, but there is a square here being enlarged. In this case, because I'm creating a frame around my image. So if I need to focus at specific points within my image, I can double click again on the image and you will find this border color has been changed. Here we go. So I'm having here a blue border. So if I'm enlarging this, I can enlarge it within my border. In this case, I can focus at specific points. So let's say for example, I'm going to double click again and I'm having the frame border and I'm just focusing at this point over here. So at this point, I'm focusing on the background and I'm ignoring the rest of the picture. This becomes very useful, especially when you go at some point such as for example background. So as we discussed at the beginning here, we said don't worry if you're having your background or your image picture bigger than the image itself, because again we can minimize the frame. So in this case I'm trying to get my page to be right in the frame. Great. So at this point it's easier to get an image and to work around with the image itself. We're going to discuss how to work the opacity of your image and how to work the flow of your image in the next step. So at this point here, if I'm trying to get this as a background, so I'm just moving this image over here. Again, once I move the image here, you're gonna find it moving easily with you. Just make sure you're not clicking, double clicking and moving. So if I move the image here, you're gonna find the image disappear. It's linked, but the image itself is moved away from the frame. So in this case, I'm dragging again my image back to the frame. Again, as you see here, the image is not showing much until I drag it back again to my frame. Here we go. So let's say, for example, this is going to be a background. So I'm just going to double click first, enlarge my frame. And I'm going to enlarge my image too. To make sure that you're getting the right size of the image, make sure you click on in Shift. So I'm showing you in a minute what Shift does to my document. So say for example, I'm having one image over here right in the top. And I'm trying to drag this and enlarge this or get it to be a smaller. So let me just ignore the frame at the moment, but I'm going with the image itself. So I'll double click on the image. Now as you see here, this is my image. If I'm trying to get the image to have the correct size without changing or stretching the image, so in this case, I'm gonna use Shift on my keyboard. So let's find how it look like without Shift first. So I can now get a free transform. Now my image is being squeezed. But if I'm clicking here on Shift and using my mouse, in this case, you're gonna find the image getting smaller without changing the size or the details of the image itself. So bringing the image back again, its original size, make sure your frame as well is covering the page. And the reason behind this, if I'm having 2 layers or more, and I'm trying to locate one picture and I'm clicking on this picture, again, I might by mistake click on other pictures. So my frame need to be exactly the same size of my image. Now moving to the transparency or the opacity of my image. Opacity basically makes your image either lower in opacity, so it's not visible much, so you can write on top of it, or you can make it visible as you see in front of you, so you can actually write next to it. So to do this, you're gonna find the top trace straight on appears to you. Tells you what you're trying to do within your image. So we have in here an opacity. So if you just hover over it, you're gonna find the word opacity is written in front of you. So I can actually click on it and just drag this bar down. So what you see here is your image became as a background. So now if I'm just creating a text in front of my image, let's give it a try. So if I'm having here an image in front of my text, I can easily see my image, especially if they're having a bold aspects. So if I'm going in my image here, I'm trying to get it to be bold. At this case, you will be able to see it properly. So I'm just gonna go here and check one of those bold fonts. Now I can see my text clear toward the image itself. Now there are other aspects for the image. So let me just get rid of the text at the moment. Okay. So at this case here, if I'm just having my text or my image being placed at the background. So let's go to another image right at the bottom here. So I'm having this image here. Now it gives you different options here. It asks you again, what you want the image outlines to look like. So you can get a fancy image. And if you look here, you find the image being cut it in a fancy way. So we're having the corners here being changed, where I can actually change to a bevel, for example. So this gives me a different options of my imageries or image. It depends where you're going to locate it. Now usually we don't use those anymore except rounded one. And again, make sure you're selecting the image before selecting the setting. So in this case we have a rounded one. And this is because it gives it a very simple and unique look. Great. Now goes toward those going to be the text and the text layouts to the image. So let's say, for example, I'm just creating a text around the image. So I'm just going to fill it. Now, if you look at those two, so let me just select those two at the moment. So in here it tells you how do you want the image to react to the text. So the first one here, we're having the text are written over the image. But if we go in the second one here, you're gonna find the text are written around the image. The third one here, if we click on it, you're gonna find the text again are around the image, but anytime you're moving your image, you're gonna find the text itself is moving within the image. So let's say, for example, I'm moving this image around here, so you find the text goes over here. But the only difference between the first, the second, and the third one is how one of them are placed and frozen. So in this case here, if I'm going to the first one, I'm just trying to move the image around. So I'm just selecting the image itself. So I'm going to my layer, selecting my image at this moment, because at the beginning we did not select a specific layer, and I'm moving the image around. You'll find the text again reacts to the image. However, if we're using the third one here, everything will be frozen until I move it around. But the text might again continue at another point, and we're going to take this in a minute. Where the fourth options here, if I'm click on it, it will jump the object. So in this case, I'm having my text right at the top, and then it will jump the image, and then it carry on right at the bottom. So if I'm moving my image a little bit down, you will find the text are going in top at the bottom of the image. Where the last one here, the text only will react at the top of the image. So you need to move the image around to make sure the text are appearing. Here we go. So those are the different options of the images. So now let me just get rid of the text at the moment, and we carry on with the image. Now the image here, you can change the size of the image the way you wish using the horizontal and the vertical axis, or the width and height axis. So let's say, for example, I'm just changing the width. Now this is the frame, and I'm changing the width of the and the height of the frame itself. Now again, I can double click on the image and change it, or rechange again the size of the image. Here we go. Now as simple as this. Going to the second point here, if we're just using over here the scales of the X and the Y within my image, let me just give you an example here. If I push this a little bit to the side, you're gonna find the whole image being enlarged without changing the size of the image. Now this is horizontally and this is vertically. So again, I can play with one of them, and anytime I'm playing around with it, you're gonna find it goes to 100% again. So this is gonna be the scale of the image. No matter how I enlarge it, it will be the same scale of the image. Where I'm going to find here the rotation of the image, I can rotate the image using again my mouse, as simple as that. But at this case, I'm just rotating a free rotation or using my mouse. Or actually at this case, I can use again my rotation option. So let me just drag it right in the top, and I can move around with the image. Now as you see here, I'm having those called vertex points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now as you see, while I'm rotating my image, you'll find the image rotating right at the top corner. Why? Because I'm having one pin right in the top corner. Alright, so let me just get this to 0 back again. And in this case, I'm going to pin the image right in the middle. So again, I'm having the pin right in the middle here. So if I'm just trying to rotate my image, you'll find it rotating right in the middle of my image. So this is how simple it is. I can go backward again using my 0. Now if you look here at the image, you're going to find 30, 45, 60, 90, and so on. So what are those? Those are a specific rotation within the image itself. So as you see here, the rotation will apply every 15 durations of 15 what they called 15 rotating. So at this point here, if I'm going to 30, for example, so it tells me the rotation or diameter of the rotation is 30%. However, I can use again my mouse to do the same job. So instead of just getting a free rotation, I'm using shift along with my rotation. So I'm just going to click on shift. So in here, it's going to give you those same rotations. So 45 again to 0, and you can go more with those options. If you just zoom in out more, you're going to get more than 45 option. Excuse me. Now in here, when we're using shearing option, again, I'm allowed to shear my image. So let me just go up a little bit. you'll find the image itself sheared to the right, where another one with the minuses sheared to the left. To get it back again, you just click on the 0 and the image will get back again as it is. Now, along with the rotation here, I can actually rotate the image to either 30 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree, or 180 degree. As simple as those. Now, I prefer using those rotation or those angles rather than just using automatic rotation. Last but not least, we have in here right at the bottom, those are the mirroring. So I can mirror the image. So let's say, for example, I need those chairs over here to be on the right rather than the left. So in this case, I can rotate it vertically. So in this case, vertically, but it's called horizontal rotating because again, the ones on the left will be on the right and the other way around. So if I'm going in the vertical one here, or vertical mirroring, if I'm clicking on it, you're gonna find it upside down. So again, double click on it or click again to get back again my image back. So this is regard the photo, and we need to create a one layer for the photo. We're going through the photo after we finish with the text. Thank you for your attention, and I will see you in the next tutorial.